Fear is a tool. But when that light hits the sky, it's not just a call. It's a warning.
When it comes to these, there's been other Batmans obviously on the screen and on TV and in the comics. Was there any particular aspect when it came to this that you wanted to avoid because you felt you'd seen it too much before in a Batman outing?
Well, one thing in particular that I knew we couldn't do was to do an origin tale. So like while I knew that this was going to be a new iteration, I didn't think there was any possible way to see the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne again. You couldn't see the pearls on the cement. It's like it had been done. And so that was critical. And then I also just thought that I wanted to make sure that we were doing something fresh and different. So I wanted to make sure that he was kind of an unformed Batman, so that while we weren't doing a origin tale, that there was a place for him to have an arc. And so we really leaned into this idea of him being in the early days and not really, he's kind of like addicted to being Batman. He's kind of compelled. He's sort of has this compulsion. I don't think understands even the degree to which vengeance is a part of why he's doing it, that he can't let go of, and how personal this mission is. And then along with this idea of making it a kind of detective thriller and leaning into the world's greatest detective aspect, I felt like that was a way to do something distinctively different. And it was really important to do that because there are great Batman movies, and I wanted to make sure that we had a chance to be one that felt fresh.
Yeah, definitely. And the casting across the board is outstanding. Like, everyone is so good.
I agree.
Can't get Paul Dano's Riddler out of my head.
Oh, really? That's awesome. Great. I'm so glad. Yeah. I mean, he haunts my nightmares too. Like Paul in that mask. And I remember early on, we had to do this thing where he wanted to, because there's the voice changer, right? And he's like, you know, I kind of need to get used to it. So do you think we could have a session where you and I just get together? And we did the thing where he put on that mask and he had the voice changer, and I just had these little headphones in, and he just kept, Matt, I'm talking to you, Matt. And I was like, this is really creepy, Paul. And we talked for like an hour, and he was just getting into seeing how his voice would sound, because he had to get into what's called mask work, right? Because it's so interesting. So much of Paul in the movie is this voice that's disguised and a face that's disguised. And this idea, it's fascinating work. And so I really just think he's amazing what he does and how he projects through that very scary mask.
Absolutely. And it's a self-contained story as well. But there is a scene towards the end that, without getting into spoilers, that you could imagine other films might have been like a little post-credit tease or something like that. Was there ever a discussion with that for you, or did you just want it all to be in the film?
You know, I wanted this to be one complete experience. Like, you don't set out to make chapter 1 without knowing if you'll ever get to make chapter 2. But the story of Batman never ends, right? So you want to leave it in a place where the story continues, because it's as if saying, like, well, he solved the problem. There's no more crime in Gotham. There's no more corruption. And it's like, well, that doesn't have any basis in any reality. That's why Gotham is so relevant, is that there's never a time when corruption and crime are not something, unfortunately, that are part of our world. And so the idea of having an ending that speaks of the continuation is to say that, and Batman lives on. And actually, it isn't really the scene you're talking about, that's meant to say, like, that's the next movie or that's the character we're going to do. It was more this idea of a tease and a nod to people who love this world, to say, like, oh my gosh, I think that's that character. And he's not even called the character you're referring to. He's the unseen prisoner, because the idea is that it's meant to kind of tease you and say, like, is that what that is?
And you've been talking about this film for a while now. Obviously, the first teaser came out 2 years ago at the Fandom in 2020. Yeah. Have you got to a point where there's literally no new question you can answer about it until people actually get to see it? Or is there something that people just haven't brought up that you've always wanted to be talking about?
No, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I mean, I've been asked a lot of questions, so I feel like if a new one comes, I'll know it was new. But I don't know if there's anything. Here's the thing. I love the idea, because there's something about the surprise of going to the cinema, right? And we designed this to be an immersive experience. Like, I tried to make the film as subjective as possible, and we tried to visually put you square in the middle of everything that happens, the Batmobile chase and everything, in as visceral and immersive a way as possible. So it's a big screen experience, and the sound and all of that, and it won't be the same really when it comes to home video and streaming and all of that. So to me, I like to save a little bit of that experience so that when you go to the movie, you can go like, wow. Because I just always remember back, growing up when I would come and see something for the first time and not know that much about it and be so excited. And I think here the case is where it's a character you know, and it's a character who you're familiar with, but I'm trying, and we tried, to present him in a way that you'd never seen him before. So I want to save a little bit of that pleasure for when you go to the cinema.